Okay, so if you build software for e-commerce, you know the dream, right? You build one amazing app and it just works for every single online store out there. But then, bam, reality hits. You're suddenly dealing with this massive, fragmented world of platforms, and every single one is its own technical headache. Today, we're going to dig into this huge and honestly often underestimated problem of e-commerce integration. How do you even begin to solve something this big? Let's break it down.
Here's how we're going to tackle it. We'll start by getting lost in what I call the integration maze to really understand the problem. Then we'll zoom way in on a really powerful solution, the unified API, using a specific company as our case study. We'll see how it works, what actual developers are saying about it, and see how it stacks up against the competition. And finally, we'll zoom back out to see how this kind of tech is shaping the entire future of online retail.
All right, first up, Section 1, the integration maze. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty, the hidden complexity that can turn a super simple idea, like connecting your app to a store, into an absolute developer nightmare.
So why is this so hard? I mean, really, what's the big deal? Well, the simple answer is fragmentation. Just think about it for a second. You've got Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, BigCommerce. Then you've got marketplaces like Amazon and Etsy. The list just keeps going. And here's the kicker. Every single one of them speaks its own language. They all have their own unique and, let's be honest, often super complex APIs, different data structures, different rules. So for a developer, this isn't just one problem to solve, it's dozens of them, and each one is a massive drain on time and resources. This slide really just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old way, this tangled, chaotic web of individual connections that your team has to build from scratch. But you know what the real killer is? It's the maintenance. Every time Shopify pushes an API update, boom, it's a fire drill for your team. They're pulled off of building your actual product to go fix a broken connection. The new way, on the right, proposes something almost ridiculously simple by comparison. Just build one connection. That's it. So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, that brings us right to Section 2, one API to connect all. We're going to explore this whole concept of a unified API by looking at a specific company that does this, a company called API2Cart. And what does that one single connection actually get you? Well, it gets you access to over 60 different shopping platforms and marketplaces. Think about that. That one integration point unlocks this massive ecosystem, and it could potentially connect your software to over 1 million online stores. The scale is just huge. And look, this isn't just about making developers' lives easier. It's a really powerful business decision. The claim here is that this approach can slash your integration costs by up to 9 times. I mean, just imagine that for a second. That is money, and more importantly, engineering hours that you can pour back into your core product instead of just spending it to keep the lights on. I absolutely love this analogy because it takes a pretty technical concept and makes it instantly make sense. A unified API is basically a universal travel adapter for your software. Right? You don't need a different plug for every country you visit. You just have one adapter that handles the translation. Same idea here. It lets your app plug into any supported store, no matter what country or platform it's in. All right, Section 3. For all the developers and product managers watching, this is for you. Let's pop the hood and see how a service like this actually works. It really boils down to a pretty straightforward 3-step process. First, there's that one-time integration. Your team builds the connection to the unified API once. That's it. After that's done, your customers can securely connect their own stores, usually with just a few clicks. And you're in. From that moment on, you can pull data from any of those connected stores using the exact same standardized API calls. And we're not talking about just surface-level access here. We're talking about over 100 different API methods. This means you can do way more than just read data. You can add, update, delete, and synchronize all the crucial stuff: orders, products, customer lists, shipment details. It's basically the complete toolbox you need to build really powerful features for things like inventory management, shipping, or marketing automation. Okay, so that's the promise. It sounds great on paper, right? But does it actually hold up in the real world? In Section 4, we're going to dig into feedback from the developer community to get a really balanced picture of what it's like to actually use this thing. So over on the software review site G2, the feeling is, well, it's overwhelmingly positive. As you can see from this breakdown, every single one of their verified user reviews is either a 4 or a 5 star. And in fact, a full 60% of users gave it a perfect score. That's a pretty strong signal of high satisfaction.
And this quote from a software developer, Ram Gopal V, just cuts right to the heart of it. It has saved us tons of development time. See, this isn't just marketing speak. This is a peer, another developer, confirming that the core value proposition is real. It actually works. But it's not all perfect. To get a fair and balanced view, we have to look at the criticisms too. And software engineer Preem K points out a really key drawback. The pricing is very expensive, especially if you're a smaller company. And this really frames the central trade-off, right? It's an incredibly powerful tool that saves a ton of developer time, but all that value comes at a premium. And that premium price tag might be a tough pill to swallow for an early-stage startup. Now, that whole pricing question is the perfect lead-in to Section 5, the competitive landscape. Because look, API2Cart is not the only company doing this. So where does it actually fit in the market? How does it stack up?
One of the most common alternatives you see mentioned on G2 is a company called Merge. And when you look at what reviewers say, a really interesting pattern starts to emerge. People often praise Merge for having better support and being easier to set up. On the other hand, API2Cart's big strength, as you can see, is its laser focus on e-commerce. This highlights that classic choice you have to make as a buyer. Do you go with a broader, maybe easier to use tool, or do you pick the deep, specialized one that's built just for your industry?
Okay, let's bring this all home in our final section. The future is connected. Because this isn't just about saving your team some time today. It's really about laying the groundwork for everything that's coming next in e-commerce. Think about all the biggest trends happening in retail right now. They all rely on one thing: data. Take headless commerce, for example. To create those amazing, unique storefront experiences, you need seamless access to product and inventory data. Or what about event-driven updates using webhooks to get real-time stock levels? None of that is possible without a rock-solid integration layer underneath it all. A unified API is like the essential plumbing that actually makes all of these next-gen features possible. And all of this leads us to one final and, I think, crucial question you have to ask yourself. It's not just about what platforms you can connect to today. It's about how agile, how ready you are for tomorrow. Because as the world of online retail continues to change at lightning speed, you really have to ask, is your software truly ready for the future of connected commerce?